Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Joint Heirs. You know, I got the heirs in the building. What's up? What's up, fellas? What's going on?
What's going on?
How was everybody's
How
week?
y'all
You know
doing
what I'm
today?
saying?
Good,
Couple
good.
last
All is
couple
well.
weeks handling things. Everybody good.
Everything's
Tired
good.
but good.
Everything's
Tired
good.
but good.
Yeah,
That's
man.
what's up. That's what's up, man. Man, listen, we got full-time dads, grandfathers too on this panel right here.
Definitely.
So, and I'm talking about people that get it in with the family. I ain't talking about the like the scene on the dance movie, the parody movie where he came and said, "Man, come to pick my son up," and then he picked him up, put him back down, I'll be back to pick him up.
Yeah, I remember
Get
that.
away.
Hey, right. I ain't talking about that kind of. I'm talking about we really there. We really in with our families, man. And so, you know, that's why we had a little bit of a hiatus. Everybody been handling family stuff, but thankful to be back in the house. We got some heavy stuff today. We want to kind of dive into, you know, just looking at what's going on around us as far as the really the social climate, you could say, also the political climate. It's a lot of things that's high right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, high, and you know, fearless with Jason Whitlock. I've used clips before. We've talked about those things. Like I say, I rock with some of the stuff that they say, some stuff, but that's like with anything. But what I like about it is the fact that they call it fearless is that they talk about heavy subjects when it comes to social issues
Mm-hmm.
and when it comes to political issues. And all of it, they do have a very tight spiritual foundation when they talk about them. So they come at them from a spiritual standpoint, also very political. And I won't get into too much of that, but definitely from the spiritual standpoint, I think it's important to keep. So this first segment that we're gonna do, we're gonna actually watch a clip from one of the shows, and this first clip is actually talking about gospel music.
Okay.
All right, gospel music, and yeah, you know, we're gonna watch it, and then you know, I'm gonna see what the fellas think.
Shamika, what's your take? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Shamika, what's your take on Kirk Franklin and where he's taking gospel music?
I don't really know if Kirk Franklin has really opened the door to bring other people in so much as I think it's kind of maybe pulled him to the other side a little bit. So you're supposed to come out from among them and be separate. I don't necessarily believe that's what's happened. And we are looking at some of the fruit of that from his son having struggles, being bisexual, and in a big mess right now. I don't know if I feel like he's opened the door so much as people may listen to it, people may bop their heads to it, but I don't know if it's giving them a closer, more authentic relationship with God. And so I don't know if what he has intended to do has really worked. But when you listen to Kirk Franklin music, you even watch him dancing. Sometimes his body moves in ways that it should not move to gospel music. And I think music has a
Amen.
spirit. It's just like when I hear like island music or Caribbean music, my body does something totally different than if I was listening to maybe country music or just. So I think we have to be very careful when we're playing certain things and claiming that we want to do something. Bring somebody in. Are we really setting a standard and being separate from them, or are we being carnal minded? Because if we're being carnal minded, we're only going to get death. And that's exactly what I think we're seeing all over the place.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it right there. So basically, you know, in a nutshell, you know, here's the question I would pose, kind of from what she was saying. I would ask this: gospel music at its height, okay? Is it a clear representation of Jesus Christ, Yeshua our Lord, or is it entertainment that uses the image and likeness of God to sell records, gain fame, and secretly push a worldly agenda?
Can I go first?
What do you guys
Yeah.
think? Yeah, definitely.
All right, if everybody know me, you know, I got my own thing with Grand Dossier TV as well with the Joint Heirs, and I do a lot of things with different artists. I was into doing music at first. I've been in church. I'm 36 years old. I've been in church all 36 of those years. Never slipped a year. Never slipped. But to say all that, I agree with what she's saying, and I like the question you asked. But everything we do now is pushed towards entertainment.
Yeah.
Everything now is a name, image, and likeness. And who name, image, and likeness is easy to capitalize on. That is Jesus. That is the Bible. That's all that. Because even himself, even though he didn't call himself this in the Bible, even himself was a rock star.
Mhm.
When he fed 5,000 people, why they show up for?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because he was a rock star. He was the first rock star that we know.
Mhm.
But to say that music changed, I can't do this. I can't go to church and listen to Down by the River no more. Because that
Mhm.
song was for what it was when slavery was here.
Yeah.
Teaching me
Yeah.
how to escape.
How to escape.
Go
Yeah.
down by the river and all that stuff. And
Most
and
definitely.
I can't do that no more. For most people that you're trying to reach, we do got a hip hop background. We
Mhm.
listen to the R&B, we listen to the rap music. It's easy for our parents to say, well, I wouldn't listen to that right there. This ain't for me, but y'all don't listen to hip hop either though. But I have heard a lot of gospel songs before people start talking about this. I've heard a lot of gospel songs being remade off of Rick James. I heard a lot of gospel songs being remade off of other famous artists back in the day. So my question is, what is being done different now? Why are we so up and got our pants in the wide now? Because you hear a little rap beat from time to time doing it. Is it the best way to really represent God? Probably not.
Mhm.
Probably not, because I know the original song. So when
Yeah,
I hear that
yeah.
beat come on, I know what the original
Probably
song
take
is.
you to a certain place.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
But in this clip, what she talk about how, when you listen to Caribbean music, and I listen to country music, it makes my body move a certain way. Well, when you go back and do research on our ancestors before we was brought over from Africa to America, we worship differently.
Mhm.
We moved our body different. That meant something different. We moved in a negative, what we call negative now, gyrating our body, but then it was meant for something else towards worship or whatever.
Mhm.
Who told you the way we move our body is negative?
Yeah.
Who told that? That's the other question you have to ask. Who told you it was negative?
It's been over sexualized. I think a lot of things in our culture is over
Mm-hmm.
sexualized, and because of that, like it's hard to escape from the mental imagery that you have
Right.
for certain movements.
Right.
And so when you see those things, they put you there because that's what you're being sold.
Right.
You've been sold that from the time you were a youngster.
Don't-
Seeing those images on TV and on various platforms now, social media. Of course, the kids get to see it, but you see the gyrating and stuff, and it always has a sexual overtone, undertone,
Mhm.
all the tones.
Because if you watch some people in certain villages in Africa, and they say I'm doing a spiritual dance for, I don't know, for rain or whatever.
Yeah.
Their body look like it's gyrating.
Yeah.
It look like, whoa,
Mhm.
that don't look like rain you waiting on. You know what I'm saying? But that's America, how we are sensitive to everything now. Because
Yeah.
America has made us sensitive to everything.
I think the key element though is spiritual, because
Mhm.
it is spiritual when they doing it, even though the movements are similar.
Right.
The spiritual realm that you're tapping into
Mm-hmm.
is different as far as what you're doing it for. Because if
Oh,
it's
actually,
coming
yeah,
from a
that's true.
pure spiritual place, because this is something that every time I do it is sacred unto God.
True.
Then yeah,
True.
my vibrations is even gonna give you a different feel, even though it may look a little similar
Right.
than a person who, they might be listening to a popular gospel song, but they moving to the beat.
True.
So the spirit is not one of actual praise, it's one of, I like this beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you got something over there?
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to read this passage here
Okay.
from Ephesians 5:19 says, speaking to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. Sing and make music from your heart to the Lord. Another way of saying, King James says, singing unto the Lord psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs.
Mm-hmm.
Singing unto to the Lord from your heart. So I do believe there's a difference. I don't want to focus per se on Kirk Franklin.
Well, yeah, he's just basically, I think they
Generalizing.
used him to generalize the whole pop.
So I do think there's a difference, and I do think that the church as a whole over the years have compromised,
Yes.
even though I don't think that was their intentions.
Mhm.
I think our passion and desire to bring people into the kingdom,
Yeah.
we look for methods to win the world, and in the process,
The world took over.
we compromise.
And
See, Paul said this. He said, I have become all things to all men that I may win
reach.
some.
Yep.
So it's a fine line,
Mhm.
I like different genres,
Mhm.
but I'm very discerning as to what I listen to,
Me too. Pastor.
because
I'm
I
too,
think
yeah.
we have what we call gates.
Yeah.
Eye gates, ear gates,
Mhm.
and what's in a man will come out of him.
That's
True.
right.
So
That's right.
I like smooth jazz. I
Mhm.
like a little hip hop.
Mhm.
I know this ruffles some feathers of some of the folk I've grown up with in church, and even some of my pastor friends. But
yeah.
me personally, but I'm very discerning on what I listen to. Now,
Mhm.
if it's a whole bunch of negativity, a lot of violence, a lot of contention,
Mhm.
minimizing and demeaning females, I'm not for it. You
I-
know, I'm not here to judge or to
Right.
label anybody. I'm just saying, for me personally,
Mhm.
I can't. You know,
Paris, I'm gonna let you respond because I feel like you got something great. But I do want to say one thing, Pastor, to what you said, because you said something key. You said compromise because we were trying to reach. But I think also compromise because we wanted, not all of us, but some of us wanted them seats filled
Yes, get that
because we
money.
wanted them collection plates
With that
filled.
money.
right?
So
right,
you know, so
right.
so
I agree.
so that
I agree.
compromise, you know, and then when you think about it in terms of that, then you can see how the commercialism of gospel music can cause an artist who
Right.
may have not been able to make it in this area
Right.
decide that I can make it over in this area.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you know, but being able to discern that. Paris, what you got, man?
Now with me, I'm about like Pastor. I grew up in a church with more elders, so
Yeah,
I'm used
yeah.
to the downbeat, the
Traditional.
traditional church
Yeah,
music, you
yeah.
know. But
Them
I
real
listen to
heroes.
a couple upbeats, but like Pastor said, I got to be careful to what I listen to because
Yeah,
it brings something else out of you.
that's right. That's right, man.
Yeah, when I'm in my car by myself, y'all ride past me, y'all gonna be like, man, is that a preacher? I mean, I'm at liberty to enjoy the different genres. I like the beat and the rhythm.
Yeah.
I like rhythm.
Yeah.
I like beats. So
Yeah.
I'm not one who just embrace all traditional gospel.
Right.
I do enjoy
Right.
traditional gospel, but I like contemporary gospel, and I like clean, I guess you could say some secular music as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But I
Because
think. Go ahead,
if
Paris.
it wasn't for my teenagers, I probably wouldn't listen to nothing that's out today.
Yeah.
I just got to listen to what my boys listening to,
Yeah, to
the
keep on
monitor.
Yeah.
When my
yeah.
students, and I'm gonna say this, be quiet. When my students, they're out there, you know, when they're in the class talking about the latest music and they throwing names out, I'm lost, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Half the times I don't know none of it.
But do we like I for me, I guess that's where I'm kind of stuck a little bit, right? Because I was that guy when I was young. I was mad at the older people for not knowing what was out, what was what. Because people would come to me and be like, man, how you rap in church? But I listen to a Tupac and you know what I'm saying, and Biggie and Wu-Tang Clan. I say because the gospel stuff weak. I don't like it.
is
It's
weak.
not good.
Right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? And that's
right.
how I would come off. But I didn't have enough God in my heart at the time.
Mhm.
Once I really started like really allowing God to really come in and really show me what I needed to see, then I realized it wasn't the gospel music. It was the fact that the gospel wasn't in me the way
Gotcha.
it needed to be.
And
He had to change my heart and my perspective. Now, when I listen to the secular stuff, it's flipped. That stuff weak. They ain't talking about nothing.
Right.
True.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
why I don't.
But I see it
Right,
now.
but see, to them, strength or swag or whatever the terms they use, sauce, drip, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When they say that, they're not thinking content per se.
Right.
They're thinking culture.
Right.
They're
Right.
thinking this relates to who I am.
And we're the light. So
right.
so instead of coming in trying to compromise and say, well, let me see what you're listening to so I can relate to you. No, let me turn you on to something.
Right.
That's me.
Because
But you
I
know what I
gotta
learned
change the
about
culture.
But
the
this ain't my
streets in the
church.
world, they accept you if you just be yourself.
That's it.
If you try
Facts.
to connect to them by becoming
No,
them,
Yeah.
they can see
you're an
straight through
imposter.
that.
Yeah.
You're an
You
imposter.
walk up to them, you trying to talk that lingo, and it's
Yeah.
not
Don't do it.
who you really are.
Yeah.
They can see straight
Yeah.
through that.
They want to know, man, why you the way you are, and you don't seem to be impressed by nothing, or you know what I mean? Like you just you. And because, bro, I'm very confident in who I am. Because my God has shown me who I am. My identity comes from a higher power. Matter of fact, I can turn you on to some stuff that speaks into your heart and your life so that you can see who you are as well.
Well, I never forget a little young fella I was working with in a group home. This was years ago. And they was talking their lingo, and I kind of caught some of it.
Mhm.
And I tried to use it. This guy was about 14. And he looked me straight in my eyes. He said, "You a fake blank NIGGA."
Oh man.
And what and it's only because I was trying to speak his lingo.
And
Yeah.
be, and be
And
willing.
I thought that doing that would make him connect with me.
Nah.
I say, and he looked me right in my eyes.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
see a lot of pastors try to preach like that from the pulpit. I'm like,
Mhm. Yeah,
my dad did that
it
before. I'm like,
is. It is.
cut
It's
that,
pop
don't do that.
culture. You're
Yeah,
trying
stay-
to be,
Stay
yeah,
where you at.
because the gospel is powerful enough.
Myself.
That's what God had to show me. He was like, you chasing what ain't even powerful. Because think
Right.
about it. What is music 30 years ago? Is it the same today as
Nope.
it was 30 years ago?
Nope.
No.
20 years ago?
Nope.
No.
Even
Right.
10 years
Two
ago?
years ago.
But is the gospel the same as it was 1,000 years
Yeah.
ago?
You know,
2,000 years. You
but-
know what I'm saying?
But the only problem with the Kirk Franklins and the Ty Tributes of the world, I think they fit their music for the venue that it's gonna play in.
Mm,
Because when you go
Yeah.
to a church now, I don't get church vibes from a church.
yeah.
I don't
that's
get
true.
like I work in church. I
Yeah.
don't get church vibes.
Yeah.
I'm doing lights. I'm doing sound.
Yeah.
You know, you got subwoofers.
Yeah.
You can't play no old basic organ back in the day with some of this
No.
stuff you got. And that ain't
Yeah.
we spend more money on sound equipment than we spend on anything else. On
Well,
doing community outreach.
And it's because of the digital age. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But I still think that there is an uncompromising gospel that can go forth, even in using the platforms. And I listen to gospel. I didn't choose my gift.
Right.
God gave me my gift.
True.
But one day I did choose to give my gift back to God wholeheartedly.
Right.
Not just because I was saved and I felt like I needed to do right. No, God, everything that you've given me is yours.
Everything.
You know, so you're gonna get it all back. And it's a true response to the love that he showed me on the cross.
Right.
So this love that he getting back is a response to the love that he showed me. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, that's the attack that we're facing right now is the imposter attack. We're getting attacked as a church because we have been imposters, because
Yeah.
we've become something that we're not, to try to bring people in when the gospel is powerful enough. God is good
Right.
enough.
Because when
You
you bring these people in and they really learn who God is, they turn on the people that brought them in.
Yeah,
They're like, bro,
because
you
you
so
ain't even
fake.
real.
Like,
You
are
ain't
you
even
fake?
real.
Like, what are you doing?
know what I'm saying?
So yeah, they turn on the people that brought them
Yeah.
in. They start looking at them
That's
like,
very
bro,
true.
like I thought you was real. You fake out
Man,
here.
you ain't
Right.
even who you say you
Yeah.
are. If this what I'm getting, especially when you get a real one.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why honestly, to all my street homies out there, y'all know who y'all are. That's why I love y'all. Honestly, I love y'all because y'all are real. You know what I'm saying? When you see me, you know what you're gonna get. When I see you, I know what I'm gonna get.
But it's hard.
When you get a real one in church and have a real experience with God, then you see a real change. Now they looking at you like, I'm gonna test to see if you really who you say you were.
But it's hard for church people to really deal with them though.
Mhm.
Because you know, I ain't looking when I'm in church, I got like this mean mug on my face. You know, because I'm looking at everybody. And I always say this, but it's not really the worst thing. But the worst thing they ever did was let me read the Bible for myself.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing they ever
Yes, sir.
did. Because
Yes,
now I
sir.
got questions.
Yes, sir.
I have questions. It's like, bro,
Right.
everything y'all told me over these years, you done lied to me.
Yeah.
Y'all done lied to me. So, but when me and God had an encounter, and I read this thing for myself, and that's how I write my first movie or whatever. And I'm like, yo, I've been lied to.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, like, you start looking at these people like, y'all fake though,
Yeah.
like, cause y'all ain't even real. Y'all just want this money in these streets.
And see, here's how God catches me up with my heart, right? Because I look at my street brothers, not to say street, but you know, my rough around the edges
Mhm.
brothers, you know, whatever. And I say, man, listen, hey, bro, be real, be yourself, be who you are, but you got to be teachable too. That's the only way you can learn. You got to
Yeah.
be open to because guess what? We can learn. You've learned from people in the street who were fake.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So you can learn what you need to learn, as the Bible alludes, you know, getting the meat, spitting out the bones, so to speak. You get what's really for you, and then you get rid of what's not for you.
Mhm.
So, but be teachable. But for my older generation who might have not been all who you say, I can't just sit there and let you be, you know, I guess you say lost in terms of who you are, even though you might be set in your ways. I still got to come even after you, but in a respectful way, and say, man, you know, what about these things though, right
Yeah.
here? You know, why we didn't never touch on these things
Because
right
they was
here?
ignorant to the fact that
You
no
know what
one.
I'm saying? Let's get this right.
That's a lot
Let's
of
get
what
it out.
was.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what it was. It was just ignorance.
It's
You know,
ignorance.
there's so many different reasons why people are in church.
Mm-hmm.
People are in there religiously. People are in church culturally. You know, when we say church, really, church is it's a relative term, and not in its purest definition, but traditionally speaking, when we say church, what are we talking? Who are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Mhm.
Talking about the body of Christ, or we just talking about attendees?
A group of people.
There's a
that
lot
come.
of people who come to church consistently and culturally, and then have never truly had an encounter with
Yeah,
Christ,
right.
Man.
and it
whew.
shows.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and so, but the only thing about that, you know, we can't. It ain't for us to determine who that is.
Mhm.
But you know a tree by the fruit, right?
That's
yeah,
right.
because that was
You
like
know.
me when I first join the church. I just went up there and shook the preacher's hand because mom and daddy was on me at the house. My aunt was on me.
See,
All my cousins had done
Harris,
it. So,
that's what I'm trying to say.
so I just
Yeah.
went up there and shook his hand, but had nothing changed in me.
Right.
My pastor says he believes in once saved, always saved. But here's why he believes that. And when he first said it, I was kind of like, Pastor, what you on, man? You know, 'cause it's a lot of gray area there. You know,
Right.
even when you read things biblically, you can go one way or the other, you
Right.
know. But he says that he believes that's true because if you have a true, spiritual, real encounter with God, it's unchangeable.
Thank you.
But the problem is a lot of people come up, but they don't have that real experience.
Right,
So
right.
you telling people you saved, but it ain't
Right.
happened yet. And Pastor, Pastor Burns had me come to his church one day, and I, because I'm a rapper and a poet, I metaphorically I think about a lot of things. So I did a message called "Did the Perm Take?"
Mm.
We know you put the chemicals in there
Right.
and everything,
Right.
but if we go down to
Did
the
it-
root, we'll
Did it take it?
realize
Right.
it didn't quite.
Yeah.
Didn't quite.
Yeah.
Your curls ain't quite.
Ain't that Luther back in
They-
they curl?
they're not quite tight.
now, that's
you know.
a whole nother subject.
but really, like, that is so true when you say that. Like, we really have to evaluate. First of all, you got to do a self-evaluation and just really ask yourself, okay, is this for real? Like, is it for real for me? Or was it an emotional response at a time frame where there was a lot of high emotional
Because
things happening?
I can remember when I was in church faithfully
Mhm.
before I ever was converted.
Whew.
Mm.
So I was faithfully, I was involved,
Yeah.
I was active,
Yeah,
and then I met Jesus
yeah,
supernaturally, a supernatural divine encounter
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
in Murder School
Yes, sir.
on Tarleton Drive,
All right now.
on my knees, weeping.
Yes, sir.
Heaven came in and rocked my world.
And you ain't been the same.
And I have been the same since. And then I compared that true encounter with what I was doing prior to.
Mhm.
I realized that I was religious at best. And what I mean by that, the Bible says having a form of
God.
You knew the road.
Yeah.
right,
But
right.
the power,
but denying the power
Yeah.
thereof. And
Mhm.
so it's been a journey. You know, the early years I was very radical. I was dogmatic. But then as I grew and matured, I realized that wasn't always Jesus' approach.
That was not always.
It
his
wasn't
approach.
always his
He was
approach,
very
you know,
calculated.
so-
My dad, he got saved when I was 14, and I had already had encounters with God. I mean, God been dealing with me since I was 10, 11 years old, to the point to where I didn't know why. I just wanted to be at church, so I would get up, and my parents wasn't saved at all, anything. I would get up and I would call my aunt because I knew my aunt was in church faithful.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the legacy of Mabel Starnes. God rest her soul. She was a usher for years and years and years. You know what I'm saying? And she was faithful. Like, I knew if anybody in our family was going to church, she was going to
I'll
church.
be there.
You know, and so I would call her and say, "Hey, can I go to church with you?" And she would come pick me up every time I called. I didn't know why I wanted to be there. I just
God was
wanted to
working.
be there.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna sound weird, but I'm just gonna tell you the truth. I would see things while I was in the service. Like, I would look up and I would see. It was almost so weird. Like, sometimes it would scare me, and then sometimes I was intrigued by it. You know, and then I kind of, like any other kid, man, just kind of got on kid stuff, faded out of that. And then when I saw my dad get saved, it triggered something in me emotionally.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to be closer to God. So I went and I got saved. I gave my life. But I didn't have that spiritual encounter till I was 16.
Gotcha.
So I tell people, yeah, I've been saved as far as the confession. I made that confession. But when we talk about that true spiritual encounter, I was 16 years old. And I never forget it, man. I had such an experience with God. I couldn't even talk after.
I was 19. But I tell you what, prior to that, church for me was honey chasing.
Yeah,
That was
man.
me.
Yeah,
That
man.
was
I'm telling you.
That's how
when I went to Hunter House. And
Notepad
man, on
and
Mondays,
pencil.
we said,
Yeah.
boy, they running thick up there at so-and-so,
Yeah.
you know, and we would go to that church
Yeah.
You know they
yeah.
gonna be there.
just to chase women,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so I said that to say, you know, that was kind of my mindset, you know.
Mhm.
My mom would ride me, my grandma would ride me, my great grandpa was a preacher, and my uncle was a preacher. They would ride me. So sometimes I would go out of frustration, you know.
Yeah.
just
Oh, have mercy.
I had no choice. My dad was a pastor, so I had to be there.
You had to be there.
And he had to
Yeah.
put the look on, so he made us kind of get baptized a little bit. Like, my own
Put me
kids
in
ain't
that
got
water.
baptized.
Put me in
Yeah.
that water.
I had to get baptized.
Yeah.
I think for me, when I was 18, Bishop Murphy, when they was new birth here in Huntersville
Mhm.
at a sex conference, I was mad because I was hoodooed to go. I was
Mhm.
mad. I was going to play
I can
basketball.
relate, sir.
I was going to
can
play
relate.
basketball, and all I know was I was going to the aquatic center in Huntersville, going to play basketball. My cousin like, well, before we do that, we gotta do this. And one of his ministers came back and said, "Everybody good? They got what they were looking for, or whatever." And I had this like attitude because this way I stand off. I got this little attitude, whatever. I said, man, nobody in this room ever had sex before. I just came from smashing somebody. I was like, why would I hear about sex for? Like these kids in here y'all talking to. And I'm 18. And he looked at me like, you a kid? I'm like, man, these kids you talking to. I just had sex, about to go back and have more sex in my car when I get home. Like, anybody want to hear this? And so, and then I was like, he just kept being like a little gnat on the wall. I'm like, man, shut up. I done walked away from him. Walked in the service. I mean, it was good. Ain't gonna lie, service was good. And then came back, and he just kept working on me, man, working on me. And I just felt God just like really pushing me at that moment. I was like, you know what, you right. Like I done a lot of things to be thankful for.
Yeah.
The summer. This is October, so the summer we was at a club and they had a shooting. God spared my life. We was in Kings Mountain. There was a shooting. The guy beside me got shot. Had a bag in him. I like, you know what? God kind of talking to you. He done sent some things your way. And so it just broke down, crying, and I got the ugly cry going too.
See, that's when you
That
know
lip
it's heaven.
shaking.
Yeah.
Because I know me, I'm like, man, I ain't crying.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I was crying so
Man.
uncontrollably. My
Right.
my mom thought something was wrong with you. All right?
What's wrong with- So I end up going to the front, getting saved, and I'm crying. And this is where Satan and his dirty tricks come in right here. As soon as I got saved, I'm crying like, Jesus, oh God. It's like 5 beautiful women my age that walked up and they hugging on me. And I'm like, Jesus, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm like, because the old me about 10 minutes ago been like, hey girl, what up? How you doing? And she was like, we should change numbers so we can pray together. I'm like,
I
I
don't
like,
need that.
You better be strong.
Because I don't know about praying because you fast. I mean, yeah, but you gotta have that encounter. And I just think in today's time, but you don't get that old school encounter. I mean, you do it some churches,
Yeah.
but it's more of a show now. Like going back to her point, it's more of a show. Church is a show.
That's very true. But I'll tell you this, man. I know that, and I used to say this about my brother, man. My little brother. Well, I got 3 little brothers. My oldest little brother, he's a man of God, man, and he does service on YouTube every Saturday.
Mhm.
But he at one point in time he was really in the streets, man. Just like, and I told somebody, I said, man, because they asked me, said, man, what's going on with your brother, man? I said, listen, because he was starting to come out of the streets, but he was trying to find his way. And I said, one thing about it, I believe, if a person want God,
Yeah.
they gonna find it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And even with the show, because it is a lot of times it's a show,
Mhm.
and it's a lot of error in a lot of services too. But I really feel like genuinely to the heart, if a man or woman wants God, they gonna find him.
Mhm.
They gonna get him. You know what I'm saying?
True that.
But the thing that we need to take responsibility for is presenting the gospel the right way.
Right way, yeah.
So that it's not as hard for them to get to a place
Right.
to where they're seeking the knowledge, the actual knowledge and relationship. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was good. So but we ain't done. We got some more.
For all new church members,
Yeah.
start off in a small church
We
first.
got,
You go
we
too
got-
big and throw you off.
we got some Momo and some Bobo. All right, so
Genuine.
this next clip, this is going into now. We talked about music because these are all pop culture things that's happening around us right now, and some of it is hush hush and taboo stuff, and some of it is in our face, and we really need to. I feel like as men of God and as people of God, we really need to address it. So one big thing that's going on right now is cancel culture and the liberal movement. It's a lot of things that's happening amongst, in our society, and it's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, you can't even watch a commercial now without some of this stuff being over, overdone, just too much, right? And so there's a columnist by the name of Delano Squires, and he speaks on the subject. So we're going to go to this video clip. We're going to check a couple minutes of this clip out, and then we're going to get into this because he makes a really strong statement about how he feels this culture and what they do, how he feels it has the effect that it has on us, and why that effect is negative. So we'll check that out.
I mean, I think one of the things that we see sort of across the country and in different areas of culture and politics is that Black folk are oftentimes used as a political football. And different groups, both on the left and the right, like to wrap their ideas in brown skin and then try to beat the other side with it and say, oh, if you don't support this or if you don't believe this, then you must be a racist. And the left does that, I mean, on a daily basis. A number of people have started to sort of get hip to the phenomenon of seeing every new movement have to have a Black face on it. So in the middle of the pandemic, when these magazines start to put, larger women on the cover and say, this is what a healthy body looks like, the one that they typically would lead with was the cover with the Black woman on it. As they've tried to normalize, various aspects of, LGBT culture and lifestyle, and particularly the transgender stuff, they want to wrap it in sort of in Black skin, so to speak. The other day, I shared a picture of an actor named Lakeith Stanfield, who has played in a number of. He was in Get Out. He's a recurring character on Atlanta, and he's sitting there. He's doing a photo shoot. He's sitting with his legs crossed and in some knee-high fishnet stockings or something to that effect. And the woman who I quote tweeted said something to the effect of, "It's so important that Black men embrace their femininity," and some other nonsense. And again, you see time after time that they use our faces to push a particular agenda. But that agenda, Jason, it is never a life-giving agenda. And I hate to make this sound partisan, but everything the left touches as it relates to their policies and their norms and their worldview, almost everything tends to lead to death, right? All of it. The abortion stuff, the transgender, ideology. When the good guys are the ones saying that 15-year-old girls should mutilate healthy breast tissue, and then they say that the people on the other side who don't think that's a good idea, or you're just obsessed with teenagers' bodies. It's like, no, I don't want people to harm themselves. Like I care about people, right? I love people enough to want them to accept their bodies in the way that God created them. But every time you turn around, they want to defund the police. They have different ideas around criminal justice that lead to chaos and disorder. It really is a death agenda. And it's hard to get around that. And so then when it gets to masculinity, it's, yes, let's show as many images of Black men dressed as women and tell them that embracing femininity is really what Black folk need, right? Let's tell them that the Black community doesn't need nuclear families to thrive, right? Black women can raise their children all by themselves. They don't really need Black men. And you see this time and time again. And the biggest problem with it is that it tends to come from the intellectual class. So you have the worst ideas coming from the people that supposedly have the most education, and then they push those ideas down on the rest of the culture. And this is why, sometimes I'll shake my head when people think that, intellectuals, academics, folks in the media, what they do doesn't really matter. Oh, there's just words, they're just talking, it doesn't really matter. But it does matter, because bad ideas, when they find fertile soil, tend to grow, and they grow into weeds that choke out, life-giving plants, so to speak. And we're all having to deal with that right now.
So
Based
Stop
on
right there.
based on my Democrats.
Yeah, basically, stop right there. And the guy, he was the guy that was the Black guy in the Get Out that had already got caught, and he was trying to warn the other guy.
Oh, with the hat, with the brim hat. Gotcha. Okay,
yeah, him. So just okay. So jumping into this clip, the thing that stood out to me was the fact that he said that a lot of the things, and they make it, to me they over politicize it. I just think it's a God thing. I just think it's a sin disease that we're dealing with, and I think that's what we need to focus our attention. But I really do agree with the fact that a lot of things that we have leaned towards, whether one party did it or the other, is the fact that we're leaning towards these things and they all lead to death.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a huge statement, because if you think about it, the way that God has set up the order of things for procreation. LGBT,
Got that off.
yeah, it cuts it off. Defunding the police kills something. Transgender, relation that kills something. It is literally a cancel culture. It literally does breed death. So my question to you guys is, is it fair to say, or can we see an actual trend that suggests that the cancel culture and liberal movement supports ideology that ultimately breeds death? Is that a fair statement to make?
To some degree. I think, as you stated, and that's probably one reason why I can appreciate, what's his name again? Jason Whitlock. But I struggle to listen to him a lot because I think a large percentage of what he said is so politicized.
Yeah, it's too politicized.
And and not only is it politicized, it's always in the direction toward the era of democratic ideology. And I think there's error on both sides of the aisle.
Yes, sir.
And depending on your convictions and your preference, you will spin it in one direction or the other. But I do believe, having said that, I do believe that there are things that the Democratic Party push that, according to the principles of the Holy Writ, the Holy Script, will ultimately produce death. And the unfortunate thing is that it tends to be tied into blackness.
Always.
That's what really bothers me.
Like
They like to give the LGBTQ, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
They always like to tie that morality into the ethnicity, if I'm using the term right. So that really has me concerned. But if you dig a little deep and research a lot of the agendas, the motives, the intentions of the far right, you see some of the same stuff. The difference is the ideology is different.
It's different.
And
yes.
so, but yeah, I do believe that a lot of what the left, the Democrats, and a lot of us, when I say us, African Americans, blacks, people of color, we get offended if we hear a black man like myself say anything negative toward the Democratic Party. We automatically begin to say, okay, he must be what they call Uncle Tom.
Yeah,
Uncle Tom.
Even though we use Uncle Tom wrong,
right?
Yeah,
even though Uncle Tom was not that,
Right,
but we used the term wrong.
Right. So it's just so much that what the Democrats push that I just can't ride that pony. I just can't, and that's one reason why I'm unaffiliated. That's why I don't connect with one party or the other. Now, I will say over the last few years, I tend to lean toward Democrat, and it wasn't because I embraced their ideology. It's just I saw hypocrisy on the other side.
Exactly.
We're Christians. We believe in protecting unborn babies. We believe in law and order. But then, I see a man in Charleston running in the opposite direction. He gets shot 9 times in the back. And I see this, and it ain't no one-off. I know we hear this, a few bad apple stuff, but if you do your research, you realize it's not. Now, I will say, even though the media make it look like it's just blacks, it's really not just blacks.
It's more
there are some, it's more classism than it is racism.
Right, it is.
Although it is racism.
Right.
So I just think I have a lot of friends on that side of the aisle that tend to highlight certain issues that's important to them. In other words, they control the narrative.
That's right.
But on certain subjects, like say if I brought up police brutality, or if I brought up the social ills and things of that nature that affects people of color, they may give a mini sentence.
Yeah.
And say, oh, well, hey, you're right. That is wrong. But they're not going to spend much time on it.
Right.
On the other hand, on the other subject matters, they will spend relentless hours. They will march in the streets. They'll go to Washington, D.C. So it's
out of balance either way.
It is, because back in the day, I was all Democrat.
Yeah.
And then I one time became one of those small percentage of black Republicans.
Yeah.
But then after I began to see what some of my brothers from another mother in the Republican Party
yeah.
was
Doing.
pushing that I felt that had some subliminal
Yeah.
messages. Even I think some of them didn't really realize.
Mhm.
I kind of went back more to the middle, so that's kind of. And I know you didn't mean for it to be political, but it just kind of pulled me.
But you heard what the man said, and I
Yeah.
agree with that too. And you alluded to it too just now, where you were talking about, they wrapping it in the brown skin. They he even said more in this segment where we talked about going back even to the civil rights movement. How political parties was taking things that was happening with the black community and using it as a political tool, to drive one campaign or the other. And they both have switched off of each other just from different angles, like you said, with different ideology. So how do we, we need to figure out how do we get out of the middle of that, first of all, and then how do we truly address the real issue with the system? And that's the fact that it is divided before it even starts, before the campaign even starts, before the race for the presidential candidate even starts, the country is divided.
Yeah.
How in the world are we trying to come together in anything and have any type of true things, true laws and everything else go forth? And we starting it off with two different sides of the coin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
I want to throw in there too. I'm not a fan of defunding the police.
no, that's stupid.
But I am a fan of police reformation.
That's right.
I do believe that needs to the worst mistake that the BLM movement made. One of them is quite a few.
There's a few.
But one in particular is using the phrase defund the police. Do you actually think in a society, a world here in America, where the judicial, the law, the legal system is structured, controlled, and ran by predominantly Caucasians, do you actually think you're going to be able to defund them? Why would you even? And what you did, when you did that, you released momentum on theirs. So what you should have, to me, the term reformation is a more accurate phrase. Defund, you can forget that.
If you're supposed to be teaching my children and all the teachers are goofing off, I don't want to defund the education system.
Right.
I just want to get the teachers, to be able to do their job better. And if they're not, they need to be reprimanded, whatever way. You know what I'm saying?
Because cities like Portland and in Minnesota, they wanted to get rid of the police altogether.
That's
crazy.
I would
Do
not
y'all
live
know what
there.
that would be like?
The chaos.
But
You're the Wild West again.
But I understand why they say defund though. Like I know it's the wrong word, but they were trying to build that momentum and marketing behind it to get people to come out and people you ain't seen vote in years. We gonna defund the police. That may do something inside of me to bring me out to say like, let's see what you're talking about.
And they did motivate
yeah,
people.
yeah.
You-
And I think that's what it was for. Like, let me see what you're talking about, Marcus. Like, you want to defund the police? What are you talking about?
But that's the thing that ailed me. You don't know what you're talking. Like when
Right.
when they were asked those
Right.
questions, they really couldn't give an
That's right.
explanation that really make you feel secure about getting behind it. That's why
Right.
they didn't have as much support as they should have had and could have had.
'Cause
You know what I'm saying?
If you had the right mindset on how to defund it, okay, I get it. I mean, I get what they're saying defund when it comes to certain I don't know, I use the military for example. We spend a lot of money as a country in military. Billions and billions
See,
and
that's-
trillions of
that's-
dollars.
That's that narrative I was talking
Right.
about.
We spend
That
a lot of money.
same group that cry it's terrible to defund the police spend billions
in that.
for the military.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And that's that spin one
Right.
way or the other.
So
Yeah, but the reform thing I think is key because if you take money away from something where you do need to allocate resources
Yes.
for the safety of everybody, that's a dangerous thing to do.
it is.
But when you take a look at it and say, is it the best that it can be?
But who
And
can
you
reform
take-
it though?
Well, that's where we need the right kind of leaders.
that's where your voting
That's
comes
right,
in.
right.
You got to replace a lot of district attorneys
Whew.
who are in cahoots.
Yes, man.
to,
That's right.
Police department who's in cahoots with the SBI, who's in cahoots with the FBI,
Yeah,
who's in cahoots with
There's
the
too much
DOJ,
Yeah.
and it goes on
Parents,
and on and on.
what you got,
But
man?
with your question, when you say how do we get the stop the division?
Yeah, how we do
If
that?
they do like they're trying to do with the birth certificates, they don't even put the gender on the birth certificates. Quit putting race with everything.
Yeah.
Don't matter if I'm black, white. We Americans. That's
Yeah.
what we're supposed to be.
That's
we
what we're
humans.
supposed to be. That's
we
right.
humans.
That's right.
We just
Right,
need to come
right.
together as a people and quit looking at color and all
love-
this. That's the only way we gonna get anywhere.
So my last question, because that segues ties
You
right into
asking? You can't ask me them kind of questions.
Man, hey, bro. Hey,
You have to say,
know-
look, bro, you can't take over the program.
But-
You gotta let
but
somebody else
we
talk."
gotta touch this though.
Okay,
But it does count. Going back to the question when you say,
Yeah.
is it counsel and it leads to death? It does, because I mean, think about it. When you say death, we don't got to talk about I'm dying and been in the grave.
Right.
But if I talk about the alphabet letters, you're killing my career.
Yeah.
Come on.
If I talk about it, I mean, what do I have to do? I mean, I can't answer a question. Then you, like you say, you know, with the alphabet letters, you killing us reproducing as a culture.
Yeah.
Come on.
You're killing the family as what is
The family unit. That's
You-
right.
you
The way
killing
that God, we feel like God structured it if you believe in the Bible.
Yep.
But we ought to have the right to believe that without getting canceled.
Right. You killing churches because churches can't even preach against it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where now in New Zealand and whereas I think parts of Canada, if not all of Canada, they got laws now. If you stand up and you even address that subject matter from the scripture, you go to jail.
Oh wow.
They got
Yes.
there's a preacher that's in jail, and there's a journalist right now. I just heard this the other day in New Zealand.
Wow.
Wow.
I may have the countries wrong, but they're in jail right now
Wow.
because,
That's deep,
because of
yes.
that. Even
Hey.
and they quoted the scripture.
You know what?
That's like a
Yeah,
is,
hey.
is that like Sodom to y'all?
If
And
we-
when the preacher
look-
said he was only quoting scripture, the legal system over there told him, then script, y'all need to adjust your scripture.
Woo.
Oh,
Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
but look, if we don't do what we need to do with some of this stuff and handle it the way we need to handle it as a
Right.
country, as a nation. Because listen, let me say this right here. For anybody who looking to listening to this, watching this or listening to this and thinking that you on fire, you mad because you feel like you know, maybe even that we're attacking LGBT, anything like that. It's none of that. But I'm gonna be honest with you. You don't want a nation that's one-sided when it comes to things of God, the way that we're speaking on it. You would rather us be able to have a voice and be able to say it, because even if you don't agree with it,
Mhm.
I promise you, you think dealing with us is something. This nation does not want to deal with the wrath of God on some of this stuff. And I'm just speaking from my heart
You-
and what I feel from a spiritual standpoint.
That's the issue with Donald Trump being taken off of Twitter. Regardless of whether we like him, disagree with his politics, don't like his rashness, his aggression, his
Mhm.
anti things that he say that comes
Yeah,
across
right.
as anti-black,
Mhm.
he still has the right to
To
say,
say
it.
it.
Yeah.
That's
You
the
gotta
liberty
give him
of
the
this
right.
country.
That's
So
right.
if we
That's right.
if we rejoice
And blocking him.
at Twitter for
Mhm.
taking him off,
Mhm.
then we basically
We part
saying,
of
hey,
yeah.
we can get on and maybe to address social issues.
Yeah.
We might get
Well,
to
that's the
That's
small
right.
things
You
they throw
know.
at us, though. I think Trump had something to do with that, though. 'Cause I think those are the small nuggets, the little small breadcrumbs they throw out there. Like, we gonna take him off, see how they gonna respond.
Yeah.
Oh, so they was happy about that. All right, let's go something bigger then. Let's throw something out there a little bit bigger than Trump and see how they respond to that.
You may be right.
And then it's
So
like we just fall into the trap. But think about everything that's gonna happen to us, though.
Yeah.
We done fell into a lot of traps.
We have.
Like I love, as much as I love President Obama and Michelle and all them, I think the biggest trap from them was change to America.
Mhm.
His whole platform of change.
Yeah.
And I said this before he got elected. I said, listen, that man get elected and changes his platform, you're about to open up Pandora's box. And when they blocked him on every angle, and the only angle he had was the gay angle or whatever.
Mhm.
Yep, there we
Yep,
go.
there
There
we
go that
go.
box.
There go that box.
And once it opened up, it's just been running rapid ever since. And things, that's when the whole council culture came in. That's when it was
Yeah.
introduced.
Real talk, real talk. So you and Paris and Pastor, y'all all on this last question already, and we're gonna wrap it up with this. But we got to do a little bit of draft, and then Paris, if you got anything, but we'll try to be quick on this one. I know I say that, but you know, y'all know how we do. All right. So with all that's been said, with
Mhm.
everything that we've discussed, is it wise to ask the American people to subject ourselves to a lesser evil, a lesser of two evils, by supporting, say, a Donald Trump, if he comes back around,
Mhm.
runs the Republican Party, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or even someone heavily backed by Trump, just because we see it as a bigger problem to support the other side, quote unquote, that elevates cancel culture and anti-Christian and racial division in the name of a false sense of inclusion and equality.
Go ahead, Paris.
Oh, I don't even know what I'm voting next year. I'm just hand me a paper and let me read. I'm an any, mini, mighty, mo.
I mean, is
You can't-
it fair to ask, especially, listen, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a man of faith.
Mhm.
I've gone to the polls one time, and that's because my uncle and he's a ex-military man, one of the most decorated military men, you know what I'm saying, of our day, much less, men that I know, but definitely, period. Like, this man got all kinds of stuff, medals and stuff. My uncle Anthony, man, he is decorated soldier, decorated human being. I mean, he's done a lot for a lot of people. And for this country. And we had a powwow before the last election. And basically he was like, I understand that you don't like the system, nephew, and you don't agree with it, but it is the only one we got.
Yeah.
And that statement kind of hit me because I was like, well, dang, it is the only one we got.
Yep.
So if I want change to happen, I am going to have to work with what we got. But now I'm kind of back. Here it is, well, you know what I'm saying, 6 years later almost.
Right.
And I'm sitting up and I'm like, well, dang, though, I'm feeling like I'm back here again. You know what I'm saying? I'm back here again where I'm like, is it fair to have to choose between the lesser of two evils when you don't agree with either side?
That's what I
True.
say.
Because Joe Biden giving away money like it's a money tree out here at the White House. He just giving out money. He giving out 30 billion to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like, man, bring me 30 billion in, Joe. Like, what? Then I see all these signs, we support Ukraine. When we start supporting Ukraine? What Ukraine have done for us?
See, those are the things. Man. The Haitians came in our country a few years ago. You saw men riding horses, using whips to beat them back across the border.
Yep.
The Afghans are left to themselves when Joe pulled the.
Everybody
we say
out.
Joe as if the Congress and Senate,
Right.
Senate
It
don't.
wasn't him.
It takes more than one
like
man.
they didn't have the same.
Which
Right.
U.S. congressional
Mhm.
and presidential leaders
Right. Made the
withdrew
decision. Yep.
the
The troops.
from
Mhm.
Afghanistan,
Mhm.
and the Taliban began to attack them. All
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, we open our doors with welcome arms to the Afghans all over the country. Go back and study, research it. It's those issues, and I think as individuals, we each have certain things that's extremely important to us.
Mhm.
With me, it's social and racial issues. I have preacher friends like, you need to leave that alone. Just preach the kingdom. You preach the kingdom, everything will take care of itself.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
Was Martin?
No, he didn't
Did he
preach.
just go in church and get on his knees and pray and things turned
No,
around?
yeah.
He
No.
didn't. He had to be active. He had to be
Active.
vocal.
Yes.
He had to march.
Yes.
He
He
had
beat.
to go to the White, had to be put in jail. He was stabbed. And that's why you and I have the freedoms we have today.
Yeah.
Not because he preached so well, even though he was very eloquent.
Right.
And I know but you know, Martin, I know about some of his beliefs that's a little wacko,
Mhm.
but you can't use that to get me off the subject matter
Right,
we're
right.
talking about. So I guess what I'm saying is it's important for us to whatever it is we believe, we need to be active concerning. So
Yeah.
in a nutshell, to get back to the question,
Yeah.
I'm chasing that rabbit. Come on back here, rabbit. Anyway, I'm kind of where you are, Marcus. With me, it's a little different though. You hadn't voted. I've been voting, and now I'm in a place where I told my wife, I don't
even wanna go in
know if
there,
I'm
yeah.
gonna vote.
I need
You know, I
them
don't
to
even
be
know if I'ma
able.
vote.
I need them to be able to, first of all, let's stop starting with division. We need to restructure this whole thing. And I know that's years and years worth of stuff, and I know it'll probably never happen because of that. Because you got old heads that done passed it down from generation to generation. They in there. They ain't going nowhere.
Well,
unless they die out.
But America's about tearing down one another, though.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, it's
no
like I
matter
gotta
what you do,
I gotta tear you down and
gotta
build my
fight
platform
you.
up.
Right,
Yeah,
right. I got to fight you to get
that's the
somewhere.
American way.
But I mean, I wouldn't mind if they put 10 guys, give us more choices. Give us more, you know what I'm saying? Why?
I'm about ready to pray the Lord's Prayer, not my will, thine will.
But
be.
your will be done.
And the Lord's gonna say, yeah, but I've given you a system where you guys have to walk
Yeah,
by the booth.
Yeah, well, and that's my thing too. When I look at it, I guess that's my place right now, Pastor, because I've been in this place for a while. And when I talked to my uncle and even when I went then, I still felt unsettled. I said, God, what do you want from me when it comes to this system? Because it's more than just bowing down to it. It's more than that. Like, what do we need to do? What kind of push do we need to make in order to try to see you have an impact the way that you need to have an impact?
All right.
And it starts within the family unit and our communities. And then if we can do it enough there to really come together and start seeing change, then we can start pushing back on some of the other stuff. So I agree with even some of the things that Whitlock and them say when they talk about we need to get our local politics in order first, you know, because we're not gonna be able to fix the stuff up, you know, at the Capitol and all that stuff unless we get our community stuff right first. So we have a little bit more hands-on with that. And this is where God was convicting me. He's like, you don't even know half of them people. You know, you don't even know a good enough percentage to have a dog in the fight. And I was like, no, I need to do more research. I need to understand who my local people are and what those systems look like and what we can do to bring change there. You know, lift up the people that we need to lift up there, lift up the ideas that we need to lift up there. And then once we see change in these places, then it can start trickling up, so to speak.
But will we really have true change? Because one thing I see every time we get a good person who talk good, look good, go into these places, it started to change the day they get in office.
We
become
need
a
more than
puppet.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need more than one. That's the thing.
But because I see,
You couldn't say it no
Yeah,
better.
because I see
Yeah.
when people get in there, they mean good, or people who really gonna do what they said they gonna do. It's a way the system try to fight them back though.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes I don't think the politicians, especially new politicians, they don't know what they're in for when they get in there.
Yeah.
They start experiencing all the resistance, all the red tape. They put a proposal, the bill gets shut down because this side, you know, they got more numbers, and so they voted down. So it's a battle.
So then you just kind of just give in because like it's easy for me to give in and keep fighting.
The solution is in there somewhere because God wouldn't allow it to just be without having some means to an end, even for things that are not right. So it's
Right.
got to be a way, but that way is not going to be easy.
Like for a good example is we say, man, the economy have gone, and you know what, since Joe Biden been in there. You said he have caused the gas prices to be up. Abby, first of all, most of your big business people don't like Democratic presidents.
Right.
They don't.
Why? Because Democratic presidents, they're big on
Giving away everything.
what you call it when they go in behind them and go in behind the banks.
Auditing and stuff
They
like that.
audit. Democrat presidents, they push auditing big corporations. Whereas when a Republican president is in charge, he lessens those laws because the big corporations, they're able to have a lot of loopholes.
That's right.
Maneuver.
So could it be that the powers that be, like OPEC, some of the big oil people, have driving the prices up so that it will affect Joe Biden politically
force
and
him
get
out of
him
there.
out of office?
Yeah.
Force
Because
them
like
out.
you say, we got to fight each other on every hand.
Gotta fight each other.
We got to fight each other.
Got to. I mean, I will say this one thing about Trump that showed me about the election and being a president. You know, even though we say one guy can't really make a lot of change, Trump did. Because when Trump went to me, he told them what he was gonna do. He said, "You will
know
do
what?
this."
You know what I will say?
And
he's tenacious. One thing I like about Trump, and even though it's a lot of things I don't like,
there's a lot of things I dislike.
the dude was tenacious.
Yeah.
Can we
He was
get
tenacious.
somebody? I want somebody to have that tenacity, but I do want them to just be a little bit more polished.
Yeah, because he was not.
Just a little, you know, because when you talk about my Savior, and I see every example biblically that we have, we did not have perfect people.
Right.
But man, they had certain character traits.
Yes.
That I could get behind.
Yes.
I get behind. David had some issues. But I could have got behind David.
What get me about my evangelical brothers and sisters, I know I say this to a cousin of mine. She said, "Are you not evangelical?" Meaning, are you not a Christian?
Right.
But a lot of Christian leaders will say, "I'm voting God. I'm voting God." And they're saying, "I'm voting the candidate that have ideas that's closer to Scripture." Well, which candidate is closer to Scripture? Because if the truth be told, in Old Testament, God himself often raised up ungodly leaders.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with that?
Yeah.
So we often say we got to work hard to get this leader in there because he's godly. What about all the ungodly leaders that God himself set up?
That's very
Right.
According to
that's
scripture.
That's very true. Very
You
true.
know, so,
that's very
I
true.
mean-
and that's kind of where my uncle had me when I started to think about it, because I did think about it in those terms. I was like, man, when you say stuff like this is what we have, there were times where God raised men up who didn't have it all. None of them
Right.
did, but some of them even worse than others.
Yep.
And you had to work with,
Yeah.
But
you had what you had.
And that kind
it's
of
tough.
remains a mystery. We don't always understand
we
why
don't.
he
We
would
don't.
choose
We
certain
really don't.
leaders.
We
you
really
know?
don't. But it's it's a passion of mine, man. To at least start having certain conversations amongst our communities, to just try to figure out how we can see certain change come about.
But we used to have these kind of conversations with church all the time. I don't know what happened. We kind of just fade that away. I mean, the church at one time was, like I say, is entertainment. Because at one time, the church was the rock. It was the foundation of the community.
Exactly.
Where you can go and have these type
You
of
went there,
conversations.
you
We are
repented,
prepping.
You wept, you cried.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And you're going in prepping people. Like even today at my church, they prepped us for they gave us a ballot of for people who live in Charlotte who to vote for and all that stuff, right? So they prepping you already. Primaries open up. They prepping you. That's what the pastor Scott is in Charlotte. He's big on that stuff. But I don't see like a lot of people around here doing that.
Mhm.
Like, let them figure it out on their own. Like, what you mean? This was what the church was.
At one point in time, when we had, and this is a local thing for anybody that's watching that's not in the Gastonia area, but we had an issue where there was a person who went to a popular ice cream spot in Gastonia, and they felt like they was done, that it was a racial things that took place, injustice or whatever, and so they made it public that they felt like they were done wrong, right? It used to be that when things like that came, when issues like that arose, the first place you went to was the church.
Yep.
You went to those people who you felt like was going to have the communities back, but that also was going to have some type of spiritual foundation to come really together with some real talk stuff, people that could stand up for the community and actually stand in and judge the matter rightly.
Right.
Instead, what we have now is a bunch of vigilante, even people that wasn't even from this area, came to march
All over the
with
place.
guns and
Hollering
everything.
and
And a pastor friend of mine, who's actually a man of God, got a gun pulled on him for trying to lessen the chaos and actually concentrate the efforts on the actual issue. That's the kind of stuff that we cannot allow to continue, because this stuff is going to get so bad to where you're not going to be able to see what's right and what's wrong. You just going to decide which side of the bullet you're going to be on.
Hey, check out the rest of that story that he talked about. Go on Grandossier TV. Look up Lydia Sturgis, or Lydia McCaskill is her name. She talks about that in depth, and this guy named Lucky Israel on there as well. He talks about that too, why they came, who called them, and all that stuff. But it was crazy. What started the situation?
Yes.
But when you say that, we don't have people, I think, that we trust that can strategize to deal with the situation. Or they in cahoots with certain people in the political views of, we don't want to have that right now.
And that's for us to really dig into. And because listen, I don't mind. I don't mind. We can do it in private. I don't believe in trying to embarrass people. But I don't mind looking at a person that I love and have a relationship with and saying, hey, bro, what's up with this? Because I expect the same thing. Like, if I get out here and start acting crazy, I expect for my father-in-law to pull me to the side and be like, Marcus, what's up with this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, I love you. I trust you. I believe in you. I got mad respect for you. But what's up with this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you are in that position. You've been pastoring for I don't know how many years. You have that platform. You have the community feels like you're in that position to do it. So what's up with this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can we not structure things, whether it be a team, an organization, or whatever. It could be a Facebook club. I don't care what, but something to where we can actually start to see these leaders, actually perform in the community on that level to where we can actually get behind them and trust them in times of, chaos and confusion.
You shouldn't let the bottom line affect what you do for the community. If it affects your bottom line, you should still go do it no matter what.
Separation of church and state. Yeah.
Do it out of conviction and not just for the dollar.
Woo,
Right.
woo.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man. Yo, this heavy. Give me some sports real quick so we got.
All right, real quick with sports. We had the draft going on. We had some NBA playoffs going on. But with the NBA playoffs, my question to you guys is this: should players be allowed to play GM while they're playing? Because you have the KD, Kyrie come together, can't make past the first round the last 2 years. Got beat last year against the Milwaukee Bucks. Didn't go as far as they planned on. This year, the brooms came out. They got swept.
Yeah.
Couldn't even win one game.
Whew, that was tough.
Couldn't even put a game together. Had
was
leads
tough.
and lose them. And look at the Lakers. The Lakers put all these old, what Charles Barkley called them, gizzards together.
Old heads.
These old heads together. Couldn't even make the playoffs. Couldn't even get in the play-in tournament. The NBA
Yeah.
has made it easy for players to make the playoffs, and they was nowhere close. So should players be allowed to play GM?
Well, that's a good question. I think players should be players.
Yes.
GMs
Go out
should
there
be
and play your
GMs.
game. Do your job. Everybody got a job.
Do your job.
I
Do your job.
think now, LeBron have had some success playing GM, if you will. But this year, and we all know he was behind the ultimate decisions.
Mhm.
His decision was absolute terrible.
Yeah.
They said it came out that they had the opportunity to get DeRozan.
Mhm.
And they said DeRozan wanted to come to the Lakers. He's from LA.
Yes.
And they said they were Magic said this.
Yep.
He said it was about to happen, right on the verge of happening.
Delivered.
And then Westbrook and LeBron began talking, and the thing with DeRozan died.
Yeah. See, egos. There's structure in sports for a reason, just like there's structure in politics for a reason. There's structure in our law system for a reason, because you have to have order. When you start to get out of order, that's
You
when
have somebody to bring you back.
you got to. When you talk about where it worked for LeBron, I think about that Miami Heat situation. We found out after LeBron left that there was a strong coach there. We didn't know he was strong at first because we didn't know him yet.
Yeah, exposure,
now we know him.
But you know who was even stronger?
Pat Riley. Exactly.
Because
And I
they
was getting
said,
there. Yes.
Pat got it. He got in LeBron's stuff.
Yes.
And say, Spo is the coach. And that's the end of that.
Let the structure do what the structure was built to do.
Right.
And that's all we've been kind of talking about really is we want to see the structure do what it's supposed to do, but on the levels that it's supposed to do it on consistently and not with this flip-floppy back forth type stuff. But yes, if the players play and allow the GMs to be who they need to be, I think it helps the order of things, and you don't have to worry about certain stresses as a player. If you need your voice to be heard, you can always, I think you should be able to speak up and have your voice heard, but then allow that GM and that coach to make
executive
decisions, because that's their part.
And going back to the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, this is why I call him the greatest.
And
Because
I did get your link, by the way, with MJ.
and this is why I call him the greatest, because what was Jerry, the one that died? Jerry Krause. He even said it was easy to be the GM for Jordan, because Jordan think he can beat everybody by himself anyway. So therefore, it was easy bringing in players that fit and do what's right. I really think with LeBron James, his best seasons were in Miami when he had structure. Yeah, he went back to Cleveland and won one. But the NBA helped him out with that, still suspending Draymond Green. I don't care what nobody say.
Hey, y'all gonna leave LBJ alone?
But
you're telling the truth though.
And I put an asterisk. I put an asterisk beside the championship with the Lakers. That's not really a true champion to me. The true championship to me with the Lakers, because a lot happened.
Yeah,
COVID happened. You had 5-month
but
layoff.
my argument with that is
it happened to everybody.
It was equal for everybody.
No. True, it was. But the reason I give so much credit to that, since he's been with the Lakers, besides COVID, when has he finished the season? When has AD finished the season?
So
if you put
he
that
was injured the first
got
year,
yeah.
COVID the second year,
Yeah.
then he won in the bubble,
and
then they didn't even make the playoffs.
And they made the last 2 years. So he's been there 4 years now, right? First year, missed the playoffs. Second year was COVID.
That's a good point.
And so that's what I'm saying. When has he? And so
Point.
therefore, it benefited him. It benefited more AD than him.
Yeah.
And so it kept him get to the finish line, and he was just more. I mean, everybody know LeBron James is mentally above everybody
else.
Yeah, he's heads and shoulders up with that game. Ain't nothing gonna get to him. He's gonna know how to go into the bubble. He's gonna figure it out. He's gonna keep his team together because he's a great leader. We never question that about him.
Yeah.
But I just put an asterisk beside it because it's like, Yeah, that was kind of easy for you.
Yeah, and the teams that made a run in those situations, that even a team that was a surprise with the Phoenix Suns,
Mhm.
it showed that the structure was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's why I think you need to respect it at the end of the day because it brings order to the situation.
Yeah, because KD and Kyrie said we don't need a coach, which Steve Nash really wasn't a coach in the
I
crunch
mean,
moments.
They got humble.
Hey,
They
you got humble
bro.
big time
Yeah.
because that other team had coaching
Yes,
and that other team kicked your butt.
and I ain't gonna lie, when I watched Boston the first half of the season, I was like, disappointment because they was losing. I was like, the black guy may get
Struggling.
fired, struggling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then they just turned that corner in January, and it's like,
It's like he turned the corner because you know the old buddy that was the coach, he's still in the front office.
yes,
So that structure's still there.
There,
You
yeah.
know, I think it took him a minute to kind of warm up. I think it took them a minute to warm up to him and whatever new tweaks that they made to the system. Them boys look like they got stuff together. Even the game, you know, that they played against Milwaukee wasn't the greatest
talking
end
today.
today. Not the greatest end result, but at the end of the day, I still see a team that's got a shot.
yeah.
They playing ball.
Now Milwaukee, they made a statement to me because I was thinking Boston was riding so high. I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, they might get Milwaukee.
But I
Yeah.
told you that was my concern that they
But-
was riding so
So
high.
yeah,
That
but
and you coming into a team that they like this right here,
Yeah,
right now. I
yeah.
mean, Milwaukee Bucks.
it bit them. It
yeah,
bit
it
them
bit 'em.
because they didn't even have Middleton.
Yeah,
You know, they didn't have Middleton.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you know,
Change the football for 1 second. We see that the NFL draft has come and gone. We still see Baker Mayfield has not signed with a team yet. We see the Panthers took a 3rd round quarterback or a 3rd or 4th round quarterback.
yeah.
So do we think Baker Mayfield gonna play in the NFL this year?
Ooh.
I mean, he's owed by Cleveland right now $19 million. So if they cut him, they owe him some money.
Well,
What
I don't believe they'll cut him with on him that much money.
But what team can he go to? Because Seattle Seahawks has what's his name? Drew Luck.
Yeah.
And they have Geno Smith. 2 people we know are busted in the NFL. Can't play.
they have what? Now not you ain't talking Andrew Luck.
No.
No.
Okay,
This dude came from Denver. He's terrible.
It's
He's
Drew
terrible.
Lock.
Drew
right?
Lock. Yeah, Drew Lock.
Okay.
He's terrible.
Okay.
Him and I just said his name.
Yeah, Geno
Smith.
Jaw,
Yeah.
Jawbreaker. My
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah, dude-
Sorry, bro.
dude
So
cracked him,
they
dude.
said
Sorry,
Seattle may trade for him, Baker Mayfield. But do you think Baker Mayfield is worth $19 million? Because I mean the going rate is 40 right now.
Baker Mayfield is I would say at best, man, I'm gonna be nice. I believe he's a B- quarterback in the NFL, meaning
It is
he's not going to necessarily lose the game for you, but he's not necessarily
Gonna
going to win
win
the
it
game
either.
either. He's a great game manager. Every once in a while, he'll make a play, and every once in a while, he'll throw one away.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's top tier anything. I'm
Gotcha.
just be real,
Gotcha.
you know. But I don't think he bottom of the barrel either, because you got some guys can't manage the game, they're gonna throw the game away.
Yeah.
You know, so 19 million with the rate and how things are going, you know,
They say 19's a steal because the going rate is about 35, 40.
exactly, and that's where I'm going.
And
with
then,
that,
and
yeah.
then this year in the draft, I think only 3, maybe 4. I mean, more than that was drafted, but 4 quarterbacks were really drafted high. I think it was 1 in the 1st round, 1 in the 2nd, and 1 in the 3rd. Normally, you have about like 5 quarterbacks go off the
bunch
board.
of 'em.
Yeah,
So what's sad in that is Cam Newton still have a place in the NFL, or is it over?
I can't say for sure, but it don't look like nobody's interested in him unless they're gonna sign him as a free agent.
if he wants to be a starter, I think it's over.
It's
For,
over
for
with.
me, I mean, just being as honest as I can about, I root for Cam Newton as a person in the NFL. I've wanted Cam to have success since he went through the things that he went through at
Right.
Auburn and all that stuff. But it seemed like he shoots himself in the foot sometimes.
Every time.
With who he is and how he can be at times. And even it leaking on the field with some of the, injuries and then other things performance-wise. But all that to the side, he's at a place now where I think he's going to have to humble himself and realize that, you're not the Cam Newton that you used to be when you was at the peak of your career, at the peak of
2015.
your
But
abilities.
see, the thing about Cam, I don't think humility is one of his biggest traits.
and that's why I think it's over with.
the very first game he did well in. What did he do? I'm back.
Yeah, and then
And then
didn't do nothing after that. Nothing.
The rest of the season,
Nothing.
He played
You
decent.
know-
I went to the Washington Redskin game. He was
Mhm.
decent. His defense let him down on that one.
Yeah.
Then after that, it really just. I mean, he was trending downward from
trending-
that Cardinals
trending
game,
down.
but it
Mhm.
really went down from there.
That's why I think it's over with right there, Pastor.
Can I ask y'all about the quarterback that the Panthers picked up? And Lindsay, you probably can help me with this. What's the scoop on him?
Was that the dude from Cincinnati? I think it was.
Man, let me see.
I think it's the guy from. I think it's the guy talking about the NFL draft, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think because I saw the pick because I was disappointed that we didn't get Malik, the black kid from Liberty. I was disappointed we get him. I think
I think he can play.
He
I'm
can
a
play.
Flame.
It-
Shout out to the Flames.
yeah.
Yep.
I think it's the kid from Cincinnati. I think they went with him because everybody talked highly of him.
Mhm.
I just think Cincinnati had a wonderful run to make the college playoffs.
So this quarterback was from Cincinnati.
If I think it's if it's the guy I'm thinking of, he's from Cincinnati. Because the only guys that went top is the kid from Pittsburgh, who was terrible, who went to
Mhm.
Pittsburgh. The Steelers drafted him.
Mhm.
Then the kid from Cincinnati, I think he went to Carolina. Then Malik went. And I just feel like,
Okay, you said Matt Carroll. Is that Carroll?
what school he went to?
It says Mississippi.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
It's
he down there. Okay, Mississippi.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mississippi.
He
yeah.
came with Lane Kiffin. He was down there with Lane Kiffin.
6'2", 205 pounds.
He's a fighter, but he ain't that good either. Because this is the thing right here with Mississippi.
Oh, boy.
This thing, it's Ole Miss. It's Ole Miss.
Here
This is the
we
thing with
go.
Ole Miss. This thing with Ole Miss. I cannot grade you as a great quarterback if you can't beat Alabama, because Alabama's the NFL ready, the most NFL ready defense you can play against. Lane Kiffin had to do a lot of trickery to get
Mhm.
people open. You know, they had to do a lot of spread to the numbers, almost out of bounds, and
Right.
spread the defense wide open.
But
You're
man,
not doing that in the NFL.
But who can beat Alabama outside of Georgia? I mean,
Outside of Georgia and Clemson.
them boys monsters.
They are.
That's monsters,
But
man.
every year he saw them, Lane Kiffin had to dial up trickery plays. And I just feel like
Right.
if I have a quarterback and we have to do trickery with them to trick you out, I just don't know.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good enough. That's good.
I don't know if this sports or not, but what y'all think about Mike Tyson?
Beating them up on the airplane,
Yeah.
that is
Hey,
sports.
Yeah.
hey,
I
if you-
forgot about
if you
that,
stick-
man.
If you keep sticking
Yeah, he
your
likes
you keep sticking your finger
Yeah.
on the nose of a pig,
like
He
we
gonna
used
bite
to
you.
say-
The lady gonna bite you.
like we used to say back in the day, he knucked him.
Yeah,
Hey, did he get in trouble for that though?
Yeah,
it still ain't came out.
yeah. They
Okay.
say the dude's pressing charge. He's gonna press.
But how can you
charges.
press charges when you throw a water bottle
bottle.
at me?
Yeah.
You throw a water
That's
bottle.
assault right there.
That's
Oh,
assault.
so that's what happened.
Yeah,
He threw a water bottle at him.
he was
Yeah, he
heckling.
threw a
He was
water
heckling
bottle
him,
at
and he
Tyson.
threw a
You threw a bottle at Iron
Mike
Mike.
Tyson.
Exactly.
Something wrong with you.
And really, he got off light because if Mike was doing full
Because when they
extension
showed his face, I say he couldn't have been
man,
landing.
he
No.
got
He
off
couldn't
light.
have been like- all
and
you
they
saw
were
was the
short.
little
And they,
red. Yeah.
they were short, little. Man, if he was really laying it, man.
Bro,
But they say
because-
the guy got a rap sheet long as your arm. He done been assault and drugs and just
But when
Yeah,
I
hopefully
saw
somebody
him
throw that out.
and I didn't see his eyes closed, I
Yeah.
didn't see no
Yeah.
light.
bust up.
Yeah.
I say he couldn't have been hit in
In
the
flush.
He
flush.
didn't look like Martin did after Tommy Hearns got out
But once again, I go back to structure, man. Like, where were the flight attendants? Where were the people who supposed to maintain order on
Don't
the
they
flight?
still have flight marshals on there?
Yeah, anybody. When you, even if I was a stewardess, like if you see somebody, a flight attendant, like you see somebody heckling another, passenger, say something, get it
Yeah.
intervene. Like they went nowhere.
Yeah,
to be
because when he
found.
got mad, it was too late.
Yeah.
I'm not
done.
getting in that.
That
The
the
pit
dude
biting
was
now.
the dude beside the guy that was taking, because you could see him trying to hold Mike back. Was he obviously he was successful in?
Maybe a
keeping him
concerned
from
passenger
getting-
or somebody.
Well, yeah, he
that-
said
Well, he
come
was
on,
sitting
Mike,
right
you can hear him.
beside.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But you can't
Yeah,
you can't mess with Mike.
Nah, bro, that's crazy to me.
And
Mike,
anybody
Mike
in,
will beat you up.
and anybody in TV land, if you get
and
a
I don't
chance-
care when I do it.
Anybody in TV land, if y'all get a chance, man, to watch two things you should watch that's sports related. Everybody should watch A Man in the Arena. It's Tom Brady talking about all Super Bowl wins. It'll make you change your mind and stance on New England Patriots. When everybody said they was cheaters and this, that, and third, it make you change your mind on Tom Brady.
For the better or
For the better.
Okay.
Because like Randy Moss said, he said, I didn't know what Spotgate was when it was going on, and I'm playing. He said, we didn't know what Spotgate was. They just came with a term one day, and Bill Belichick dressed the team before we started to play, and that's when everybody thought they was cheating when they went
But
undefeated.
you know what? I'm not surprised by that. And you know why?
Why?
Because of what we've been talking about.
Structure.
They got structure.
Yes.
The players ain't supposed to know
Yeah.
about
He
what's
said-
going on with the behind the scenes and the front office stuff. They ain't supposed
He
to
said,
know
because
that.
Randy Moss said when everybody got mad at us for saying we wouldn't address certain things,
Yeah.
he said because we really didn't know
We
what it
ain't
was
know what-
about,
we
so
ain't
we just
know.
kept going on with different stuff.
We had a job to do. We were doing our job.
And he said it's not like we were trying to deflect from it. It's just we didn't know what was happening,
Yeah.
and that's how Bill Belichick set the tone, and we just went there from it. And the other thing that I just started watching today, they call him Magic.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good.
Is that the movie?
It was his documentary. That's how the
Okay.
Jordan had the documentary of
Yeah.
The Last Dance.
When did that come out?
It came out last Fridays on Apple TV. Man in the Arenas on Disney Plus or on ESPN. It comes on.
So Apple TV, how do you?
It's just the app. Just get an app and you just go
Okay.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to come up and
You
watch
don't
it
have to have an
sometime.
Apple box. Or
No.
No.
If
Just have
you
it.
I can
want-
put it on the new TV I got. I know we couldn't do it on the.
Yeah, it's a
older.
subscription base.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
like
But
$4
I
you
have
get
it.
it.
If you ever want to come by and check it out, man, we can check it out. I got
Because
it.
I'm still trying to figure. I'm in
Let's
the
check it
part.
out.
Yeah,
I'm
we
in the
do
part now where I'm trying to figure out. Him and Cookie broke up when he got to the NBA. Him and Cookie, when he played in the NCAA championship game, him and Cookie was not together.
Wow.
She said the girl that he was cheating on her with was sitting beside his mom at the game.
Oh wow.
I said, really? I said, imagine
Oh,
me find
man.
out. Wait a
Oh,
minute.
yeah,
Wait a
Magic,
minute.
he'll
Come on,
tell you.
Cookie. So it's making some sense of
Yeah.
what happened with him,
Everything
though.
that- yeah.
It's making some sense of
Yeah.
that. But so far, so good with that documentary. So sports related. Hey, man in the arena, Tom Brady. I have to watch the final one tonight about him playing with Tampa, and then they call him Magic. It's
I gotta check
So,
both of those
Paris,
out.
brother. Take us
Okay, I
home.
ain't got
Take
no
us
joke,
home,
but I
brother.
got a question. Pastor,
Okay.
mostly for you. So, in school, they taught us that a unicorn was not real, right?
Right,
Okay, but they teach you dinosaurs are real.
right.
Okay, so I was reading the Bible, King James.
I know that passage too, man.
Why did I find unicorn
you gonna edit
mentioned
this,
in
brother?
there? Unicorn mentioned in there 8 to 9 times, but I ain't seen not one dinosaur.
Ooh, that's a good question. First of all, I didn't. I knew unicorn was mentioned in scripture. Did
Eight-
you know that?
8,
Marcus?
9 times.
I didn't know it was 8 or 9
I
times.
didn't know it was
Yeah.
that many times either.
I do a little research.
But
I do. A
I
little
ain't seen no
research on that.
dinosaur in there. So you telling me a unicorn ain't real, but a dinosaur is real when the Bible tell you unicorn's
Unicorn.
real and I ain't seen a dinosaur.
No. Now see, you did you
I ain't twisted.
you fixed it wrong. Listen, instead of you telling me this is for you, Pastor, you should say, Pastor,
No, I just
I need to learn you
Yeah.
something.
I need to learn you something.
Yeah, because that's good, man. I mean, really. I
But-
know. Yeah.
I just got a fascination with dinosaurs. I don't believe they was here.
You don't believe the dinosaurs? Where
I'm
them bones
trying
come
to
from?
remember.
Where the cavemen come
Marcus,
from?
do you
Adam didn't have one.
do you remember the Christian scientists? It's a couple Christian scientists out there that be on Christian networks
Mhm.
that who believe in creativity, but they also believe in not necessarily evolution, but they do believe that dinosaurs exist before Adam and Eve in the garden. They believe this, but they're Christians.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
noted and what's the word? Credible
Yeah.
believers. Have you ever listened to them?
I won't say that I have, but I mean, me personally, we know that even the way that the Bible teaches us that God created animals and creatures and things before He made the man. Now, a day in God's time, and a day in our time, it may be some differences there.
Because
So there may have been
Genesis
some years
says, in the beginning,
Mhm.
God created the heavens
and the earth.
earth. Then the next verse, it gets interesting.
That's right.
And the earth was without form
And void.
It meaning that it was chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
So if God in the first verse is the creator,
Mm-hmm.
how can what he did?
He don't create chaos.
Right. So that's where what's called the gap theory comes in place.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of theologians believe, they call it the gap theory.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that's when Satan, the scripture says later on, he was cast down from heaven
Mm-hmm.
to earth. And they believe that
He was trying to.
right. They believe that when that happened, somewhere in between 1 and 2, that's where the earth was without form and
And
void.
void.
But it's called, nobody knows for sure. So that's
Mhm.
why they call it a theory.
Yeah.
It's a gap. It's a theological theory. But the dinosaurs may have came in somewhere
I don't
during that
believe it
period.
was here.
Well,
So
yeah,
I'm just kind of this right here is off the cuff.
Right,
So
right.
no
Where
research.
you get these big bones from? Then all these bones they digging up.
Yeah.
I don't know
They
about
can make
that
a bone.
because you can make it.
You can make me a
It's
bone.
amazing.
Now
what you can
here's the
create.
thing.
It is.
I do believe that there's been some bones that discovered that suggest that there were
larger animals.
Now, when it's the time frame I have problems
yeah,
with.
What's the time?
When they say
frame?
they'll say things like these dinosaurs was 50 billion.
yeah.
How do you determine
How old,
something
yeah.
is?
They
I
think about the
don't
rocks and all
understand
that
that.
stuff. They said the rocks that cover them and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Nah.
but even with
But
that,
you know they use the term probable.
yeah,
Probable mean we ain't for sure. But
yeah, because my thing is, you would have to have documentation from 50 million years ago, billion, whatever.
see, that's what
in,
throws me off.
in
How do
order
you-
to sync those things
Yeah,
up,
go.
because that's how we can do. Like right now, we can talk about things historically from the 1960s because we have documentation. We have
Right.
history from people who was in that era.
Right.
Some people even still amongst us
but
who can
Parrish,
verify that.
You got me worked up, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
I'm
got
gonna have
you
to
got
go
you
on
got
and
to
start.
think. You got to think, bro.
Because what sound do a giraffe make?
You know, make
No, nobody know. But they can tell me
Now,
what a
that's a good
T-Rex on
question,
Jurassic
though.
Park sound like. You ain't never seen one.
I mean, I love it because I once again, I ain't never been comfortable about the dinosaur conversation. I always felt like it was something to that.
Really?
Because every other animal I can see.
See,
I can see them.
and you know what they
it's
say?
the one thing
They
I'm
say a
like,
lizard is close to them.
No. The only thing close to a dinosaur now is a bird.
Well, it's like a pterodactyl to a
No,
bird.
like a
I
robin.
thought it was the alligator.
No, it's
or
a
the
bird. That's the
reptile.
closest
Yeah, I thought a
thing.
reptile was close to
No,
them.
they say that ain't got no relations to a dinosaur.
Oh man, a
Well,
bird.
why
A bird.
How's
That's
it a
it.
bird?
That's what I want to know.
hey, some things the Lord just got to reveal to me when I get home.
Right.
Hey, bro, it was real or odd.
Now
Nah,
here's
you was
another
It
one
was-
right here. This is another one. Did we go to the moon in the 60s?
No.
Nope. It was a show, and
They
I,
went to the moon in the 60s and can't even get
They
out of the
didn't go-
atmosphere now.
They didn't
Hey.
go on the 60 because do you remember the video they
Ooh,
showed
the video
you? The
is
video they showed you in class.
it's got
Flag
so many
was blowing
flaws.
in the wind. Then Superman, Christopher Reeves, flew back up there and stuck it down. That flag was blowing in the wind. Just like Christopher-
Hey, but real talk, that video got so many flaws, bro. It's got so many flaws.
I'd have to go back and
got
look
Look
at
at that video. The flag just blowing
So
in
you
the
don't think it took us 3 days to get to the moon?
Man, bro, that
We
video
can't get
got
there
so many
anymore.
flaws, bro.
Every time they go, something
they-
blow up.
Something, we'd have had two groups of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. Man, see, you
all
got to
tied
say
in together. It's all tied in
Astronauts.
Yeah.
Some of them, one group died going up, the other group died on
Coming
the way
down.
back. And it's like a
Yeah.
catastrophe.
So you like, hold on, they made it to the moon and was coming
They
back.
say
in
they
there?
No,
made it.
they were going to the
Space
it was
shuttle or
going to
whatever.
the galaxy or somewhere in the atmosphere, but they it blew up. One of them, I'll have to go back and look at the dates. One was in the 80s or 90s,
Yeah, the first one was in the 80s.
and the other one was like late 90s, early
Mhm.
2000s.
Yep.
Well, we got a
Yep.
black woman out there right now. They out in space, trying to figure out where we can go next, the different voyages we can make.
Where who can go?
All right?
They say
Hey,
they
'cause
say the human race.
we don't play that.
Y'all go ahead and go. I come
Hey,
later.
now, man. Hey, man.
I holler.
Y'all
That's how
be
we-
easy, bro.
Yeah.
That's how we got over here. Then act when the ship coming back for home. None of that.
Man, yo.
Man, I'm so glad you kind of loosened it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
man. It
got
was
a
tight
little-
in here. It was tight
Yeah,
in here.
it was.
But we need that, y'all. I'm so glad that y'all was able to jump on some of that stuff with me, man. And man, listen, we want feedback, man. Shout out to one of my dear friends out there, man. I just want to give a quick shout out to my boy Al Carrington. That's my roommate from college, man. Just got a big what do you call it when you're over the athletics for a school?
Athletic director.
Yeah, AD job. Yeah,
AD,
just
yeah.
got a big AD job, man.
Good stuff.
The first African American person to be employed in such a position at that school too. So
That's what's
so
up.
big stuff being
Oh,
done
yeah,
there.
good stuff.
Yeah,
good
good stuff, man. And then the fact that they gave him the opportunity, man, and he's the type of guy that he's gonna show why those doors should have been open years ago.
Yeah,
So I appreciate him for that. So I want to shout him out. And thank you guys, man, for jumping on some of these hard topics, man. I know it's not the easiest steak to chew on, But man, we need it. We need it. We
Definitely.
need to talk about it. We need to figure some stuff out, especially as men of God, so we can make sure that we're going in the right direction for our people. Hearts, minds clear, everybody.
Very
Good.
All right, man. Well, this has been another episode of Join Heirs. Y'all follow us on all social media platforms. Join Heirs 817. You know, till the next time. God bless.
See you.
See ya.
All right.